Meanwhile, you're just a rapist trying to calmly watch some baseball.
Right.
And you're just sitting there, just guys.
Yeah. It's like grumpier old men or grumpy old men, but just in prison.
Classy art thief who's forced to be dealing with it, who's just being like, where is in my tea? I remember when I stole the Mona Lisa from the Louvre, and now I'm here. Oh, fate. Cruel, torturous fate.
Yeah, they're just so dumb. They're all so stupid.
Yeah, he stuck in his craw that Kemper got 8 out of 8 counts of first-degree murder, while Mullen only got 2 out of 13 counts of first-degree murder.
But he followed that by saying, I guess it's kind of hilarious, my sitting here so self-righteously talking like that after what I've done.
Right, yeah, that is hilarious.
Yeah, it is hilarious.
That's all part of Ed Kemper's thing. He believes himself to be special.
Yes.
He believes himself to be special.
His crimes are very personal.
Yes.
And he felt that he had
there's reason.
Yes, and he believed that he was a man of reasons. Mm-hmm. And he believed that they had special connections. Him and the corpses had a special connection. I mean, it was all in loser talk because it was all like staring at the girl who comes into the 7-Eleven while you work at the cashier all day, just being like, I know we could be together. She just gave me a chance and I could show her all the delicious, spicy Dorito curls.
All right, just the bubblicious for you again today. Okay.
I love you, Becky.
Nope. More customers behind you.
Did I say it out loud, or was I just thinking it? I love you, babe. I love you. She won't give me a chance.
So while he was at Vacaville, he also participated in reading audiobooks for the blind.
He's got a very nice voice.
He does. He spent more than 5,000 hours in the booth in front of a microphone over 10 years. He has more than 4 million feet of tape and several hundred books to his credit.
So he's really one of the most successful voiceover people in California at the time.
Actually, he probably is. Yeah, regular James Earl Jones.
Him and Mel Blanc.
Yep.
Included in his work is a children's book called The Trumpet of the Swan, the 4th book of the Dune series, and a novelization of the Star Wars trilogy.
It's unbelievable they gave him. This is such a great job.
This is the perfect job.
I'm very jealous that he has this job.
This is what you want, technically, if you could read out loud.
Yeah.
That would be helpful.
So there is... Fine. We couldn't find any full recordings of his audiobooks. The only thing that we found listed, we did find an example on the volunteersofvacaville.org where they list a lot of the books that Edmund Kemper read. He read Flowers in the Attic. Now, I've never read Flowers in the Attic, but apparently it is a horror novel. It's a very famous horror novel. I've never read it myself. But he read so many. Let's listen to
the melodious tunes.
The melodious tunes
of Eddie Kemper.
Chapter 1. Goodbye, Daddy. Truly, when I was very young, way back in the 50s, I believed all of life would be like one long and perfect summer day. After all, it did start out that way. There's not much I can say about our earliest childhood except that it was very good, and for that, I should be everlastingly grateful. We weren't rich, we weren't poor. If we lacked some necessity, if we had luxuries, I couldn't name those either, without comparing what we had to what others had, and nobody had more or less in our middle-class neighborhood. In other words, short and simple, we were just ordinary run-of-the-mill children.
Cool.
Chapter 1, paragraph 1. Flowers in the Attic.
Daddy. I love it. I love it. What a great little... He also wrote a series of short stories that I can't find. If anybody can find it, please send it to me. I've been digging and digging and digging. I can't find any of it, but he definitely wrote a bunch of short stories. Yeah. And I think most of them were called, like, Mommy's Blowing Me Again. You know what I mean? It's all just, like, stuff like that.
Yep. And if you can't find them, just write your own and just sign it Ed Kemper. We'll believe you. Who knows?
We're not going to know the difference.
Who knows? Yeah.
So right now, he's still alive. And he's in Folsom State Prison. Here's a very interesting thing. Folsom also has an insurance agency called Kemper Preferred.
Interesting.
It's a real interesting thing. So Ed, of course, ever the talker, he has in serial killer history. When he asked, what do you think now when you see a pretty girl, he said,
one side of me says, wow, what an attractive chick. I'd like to talk to her, date her. The other side of me says, I wonder how her head would look on a stick.
Classic, though.
Yeah,
I mean, you know,
classic.
every
It's like a
time I look
cake
at a
pop.
person.
Yeah. That's an absolute classic one. I mean, that's
Yeah.
up there with I ate her buttocks. I did not fuck her though. She died a virgin. It's up there with that.
It's up
yeah.
there. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
classic.
up there
Oh
with
my
like
God.
serial
It's
killers are your
Shakespeare.
fathers, your brothers, your husbands. We are
It's like-
everywhere.
Or everywhere you get every time you get everything right, and the 10th time you forget where the lug wrench is.
yeah. It's up there. It's up there.
It's guys.
Yeah.
This is. I just think it's interesting. I just think it's like fucking learn how to talk to people.
Well, I mean,
You
you
know,
want to talk to
don't be a big fucking bumblebutt.
But
If you're
that's-
ever described as a bumblebutt, seek to change it.
Yeah, I mean, unless it's really funny and people love you because of your bumble butt.
Yeah. There's plenty out there.
We got 3 right here.
We're
I
all
call us a couple of bumblebutts.
Yeah,
butts.
a trio of bumblebutts.
Uh-huh.
That's what we are. A confederacy of bumblebutts. How's that?
I love it. Is Kemper still alive? He's got to be in his early 70s now.
Yeah. I
His
think
last
so.
interview was in 1991. He did it with this weird French guy. Really cool interview.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, he is. I mean, I think now he's probably pushing 350.
Oh, he's a big.
yeah.
He's a big one.
You don't eat very
Yeah.
healthy in jail.
Yeah, all
Yeah.
that
or in
porridge.
prison.
Yeah, he's gigantic. But yeah, that's Ed Kemper
Wow.
part 2. Yeah, we really wrapped that one up, man. Jesus
What a
Christ.
tale.
Yeah.
So again, don't hitchhike. If someone says put on the handcuffs, don't do it unless it's a really saucy BDSM situation
Let
and you guys
them
are
kill
friends.
you. Yeah, let them kill you quick. Make them kill you quick.
Or fight back and don't die.
Yeah, figure out a way.
Yeah.
Figure out a way. All right, everyone.
Woo.
Thank you so much.
So
for
glad
listening.
I'm normal. This is
Yeah.
one of those listeners.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, always with the big hitters, the brains of these guys. I am not envious. No one's envious. It's an awful existence for everybody.
Yes.
It really is.
Hail Satan. Thank you for your gifts. I've used magic this week and it has helped me.
Shout out to the person who gave you the drawing, Henry. An
Brittany.
amazing Gacy drawing.
It's Brittany, that painting is amazing. It gave me true magic power. It is
Yes.
up in my bedroom right now, and it will scare whatever human ends up in there.
You made him lonely for another 3 months, but that painting's gonna last a lifetime.
Yes.
So that's amazing.
And we've also got to give a shout out to
Lisa Willis.
Lisa Willis for a very generous donation. Thank you so much. That really, really, really helps us out a lot right now.
You're the best, Lisa.
Yeah.
You're the absolute best.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Thank you.
we'll see you soon.
And thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, Miss Lisa Willis.
And if you guys want to donate, if you donate $25 or more, you get a free Last Podcast on the Left t-shirt. Go to cavecomedyradio.com/Last Podcast on the Left. To do that, $25 domestic, $40 international. Tunes, rate, and review. That's really helping us out a lot. Follow us on Twitter, LP on the Left. We've gained quite a few followers there right now. We're posting all kinds of great shit on there. Join the Facebook group and
Live show
on, let's see here.
28th, I believe.
I believe it's the 28th. Yes, live show on Saturday, March 28th. Here at the Creek in the Cave, 1093 Jackson Avenue in Long Island City, New York, off the G train, off the 7 train, off the E train. We're going to be starting at 10 p.m. It's going to be a fucking amazing live show this month. I'm very excited.
It's going to be a
about
ripper
it.
and a dumper.
Ripper and a dumper.
Both of those.
And Heil Geen, ladies and gentlemen.
Heil me now. Do it now.
Have I done a hail yourselves? If we
Yeah,
haven't
that's a
done
good
that
idea.
yet?
That's a good. And congratulations to everyone.
Oh, yeah.
Every single one of you.
For more shows like the one you just listened to, go to cavecomedyradio.com.
There's no place to escape to.
This is the last podcast.
On the left. That's when the cannibalism started.
What was that?
You're out there. You're packing up your car there. Where are you going with the family? Oh, that's funny. You're going to IKEA? That's so weird because I haven't been to IKEA in years.
Oh, yeah.
I keep it real local. You know what I'm saying? Real local. Where are you going after that? Are you going to Pier 1? That sounds silly to me. Couldn't caught me dead in Pier 1. It's an inside joke with myself. Well, you have fun now. Any of you sick? Any of you not feeling too good? You sure? And a big. She's not feeling too sick? Well, I'll be seeing you. Oh, I'll babysit anytime, don't you worry. All right, you betcha.
Oh, that's
I'll be
great.
seeing you.
That's perfect. That's your impression of a Wisconsin conversation, and you nailed it. That is a perfect example of what it is to live in Wisconsin. Wow. Okay.
Just constantly asking people if
Yeah.
they're going to IKEA because you've got a
Absolutely.
house full of fucking human skin placemats.
It's the only kind. All right. Welcome to the show. I'm Ben Kissel. That's Marcus Parks, all the way from beautiful Toronto.
Oh my God, am I excited for today's episode. It's Ed Gein Day. It's Ed Gein Day. Put your hands together because it's Ed Gein Day. If you're a big fat man, I want you to slap your titties against your belly.
Do that.
If you're a sexy woman, I want you to slap your tits against your belly.
Yeah.
Because Ed Gein always wished he could have done that.
Ed Gein, we're going all the way to beautiful Wisconsin. We'll be talking about that. That's 20 minutes outside of where I grew up in the wonderful Stevens Point.
Oh, well, let's hear
Now,
how...
Ben, honestly, this is the only time in which anything that you remotely know innately can be useful to the show.
Yeah, that's correct. That's correct.
You know how to pronounce these names, so you have to make sure that we're pronouncing them right.
Oh, I'll
because
nail it.
most of these are all just fucking Native American coughs.
They really are. We have a lot of the Chippewas and a lot of things like that. But if I say the Wisconsin, the name of a Wisconsin town, and you don't think it's right, you are wrong because that is my home state.
Yeah. Too many Verns in that state.
A lot of Verns, but can you have too many Verns? No, because you can never have too many people serving up camp-style lunches. That's what Verns do. They create an amazing Salisbury steak, and do you want some potatoes on the side? You're getting them.
This is real. This show is for the locals. I'm excited for this.
Yes.
Also, what I noticed in watching a lot of documentaries about Ed Gein, a lot of use of
Umfer and Vern. It was supposed to be Laverne and Shirley. Was supposed to be Umfer and Vern, but they went with the more feminine route.
Yeah, because originally it cast a 400-pound hunchback.
Yes, Umfer.
As Umfer, and then when they got when the executive producer threw up all over his suit,
Right.
they changed it up and made it a woman.
Yeah. Umfers don't make very good butlers because they block the door. Yeah. And butlers are supposed to escort people inside.
What I love about today's story is, of course, Ed Gein. We've kind of hopped around Ed Gein for a little while.
Oh, yeah.
We covered him a long time ago. But getting deeply into his story, we read the book by Schechter.
Harold Schechter, yeah.
Harold Schechter, Deviant, which is incredible. It's very fun. And Ed Gein's story is incredibly fascinating. And it's a little different than other big hitters that we've covered because he's not like a pure predator.
No, he's a nice guy. If anything, he's a reverse Tigger.
No, he's a grave digger, 100%. There's no reverse
He's
here.
a reverse putting people in grave. He takes them out. He tries to bring them back to life, like that movie, like that TV show.
Grave robber. That's the word you're
It's a
looking
grave
for.
robber. That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's not like one of those movies where you film it backwards and then you play it forwards. You know what I mean? So you make the effect look different. He was trying to eat some dead old women's pussies.
But I want to dispel a myth right up top. Ed Gein was not a cannibal.
No.
He was a purist.
Oh, by the way, just a little bit off topic, but so happy to see Jeffrey Dahmer trending on Twitter this week.
Isn't it great?
And I don't know if you guys have read those stories. We'll get right back to Gein, but of course Dahmer's a Wisconsin guy as well, kind of connected. I didn't realize Dahmer was such a jokester. He had something. Did you see? He had the.
I don't believe it.
He had the Cannibals Anonymous Club. He wrote that on a side and put that into his in his prison cell, so no one would bother him. But that is just good prison humor.
I don't know. I mean, it seems like it's a prank that happened to him. It's prison, a good like schoolyard prison
Right.
prank. Would it be like take the word like cannibal and slap it on his back? You know, like I'm a cannibal, kick me. I think he was a target.
Well, Wisconsinites are full of joy, full of laughter, and full of humor, and we'll get back to Ed Gein, who is always smiling.
But one more thing, literally always smiling because he had a fucking mental defect.
Oh,
Literally
come on,
could
leave
not
him
smile.
alone. He had a nice hat.
But yeah, so number one, Ed Gein is not a cannibal. That is true.
he is not.
Second of all, what I love about this story is that, again, it's just this example of that the boogeyman is real.
Yeah.
That when it's that house out in the middle of nowhere, when you read about, when we're going to cover like kind of where Ed Gein lived, every kid in the neighborhood knew that was the haunted house. They would dare each other to go and like ring his doorbell and like run away because old Ed Gein would come out and be like, "You want to come inside and play with these apples I made? I made my own apples." And they're like, how do you make your own apples, Ed? He's like, "They're just a bunch of hands."
Hand apples. I love Robin for hand apples. That was a fun game you could play in the Gein backyard.
The other thing about
Ed Gein would always say exactly what he was doing, but then with a laugh afterwards, it was some cruel joke.
That's what they always do.
Oh, yeah, man. And the other thing about Ed Gein, the lowest body count of any heavy hitter besides O.J. Simpson, this guy only had 2 murders, possibly 3, under his belt over a period of, I would say, 6 years, somewhere around there. But let's get...
Got an A for effort. You know what I mean? Because when you're your own Martha Stewart, that's something special. She runs an empire.
Today,
you know what I
we're gonna
mean? But most of his stuff was stuff he could stick his dick through, and so he could pretend he had a vagina.
So if you have some super glue and some scissors around, all you need to do is find yourself 15 human nipples. And today on Martha Stewart, we're gonna be making a human nipple belt. So stick around.
Martha, it seems like the biggest problem with the craft is getting all the nipples.
Yes. So it isn't as simple as making a cake.
So we're gonna have to rob graves or kill women to get these nipples.
Bob, feel your chest right now.
Yeah.
No, you have no nipples. I stole them from you. The whole crew has lost their nipples. That's how good I am.
So all right. So sit back in your chair made out of straps from a fucking dead little girl.
No
dead little girl.
Please don't have a chair made of dead little girls.
Get yourself a bowl that's made from the thumb bones of a homeless man. Stuff it full of sweet Wisconsin Jamaican grain.
Wisconsin.
Put it in your head, and we're getting on a rickety old Ford driving down to Plainsfield, Wisconsin.
Plainfield, yeah.
All right, we're going to start off with a reading from Harold Schechter's Deviant to really set the scene of what Plainfield, Wisconsin was like in the 1950s. For the most part, Wisconsin is a beautiful state, a lush, sprawling park, and endless meadows and thickly wooded hills. It's not until you cross over into the South Central Plain area, 60 or so miles north of the capital, that you feel you've suddenly entered a different and far less hospitable world. Every part of the landscape seems bleak and ungiving. The grass looks parched. The sky, even on a perfect spring day, presses down on you, and the soil is a faded pink, the same sickly color that the makers of children's crayons used to call flesh. To some Wisconsinites, this flat and infertile section of the state is known as sand country. Others call it Wisconsin's Great Dead Heart.
Well, now that's a little overdramatic, because really, it's the heartland of America.
It's the Great Dead Heart, Ben.
Oh, okay.
You come from the Great Dead Heart of Wisconsin.
Huh? I didn't know that. We always pretend
Yeah,
like
and
it was
somehow
alive.
traveled to the great dead heart of Ben Kissel.
Isn't that something exciting? People like to go there.
Have you ever been to Plainfield?
Yeah, we used to go try to find his grave, but at that point, this was, mid-'90s, late 90s. It had already been so destroyed that they had just taken it away already at that point. And I think it's in some museum now somewhere.
Cool.
Well, the hometown of Ed Gein, Plainfield, seemed to exemplify the so-called Great Dead Heart of Wisconsin. And in fact, the state guidebook at the time characterized the town simply as just nondescript.
Right.
Oh, I love to go to a nondescript place.
I also
for a vacation and I put paper bags on me and my family's heads, so it's all totally anonymous. And then all we do is drink water, and we stay there for about 4 hours, and then we leave.
That's literally what you would have to do in Plainfield, Wisconsin. I love the idea of the Wisconsin guide, like there's some family going on a Wisconsin road trip. Oh, let's check out Plainfield. What's that all about?
Well, it says here it's got a mailbox, and it's got a guy who can. Oh, look at that. He can fart when you point at him.
Oh, isn't that something? That seems to be most town folks around that area.
Gotcha. That'll be a nickel.
That's a nickel. And a nickel goes far.
In Plainfield never rose above 800. Most of the residents were just poor, struggling farmers. Even the name of the local body of water seemed to confirm this bare, hopeless nature. The settlers called it Sand Lake.
Yeah.
That just showed that they didn't understand water.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think they thought sand was water. They wanted to call it Water Lake, but they just got it all wrong.
No. We can't be calling it Water Lake. That's redundant.
All right, we gotta call it something fun like Dirt Lake or Sand Lake.
But despite it being a barren and miserable place, it was still a close-knit, very prideful community, the kind of place where you'd have your annual Christmas pageants, your potluck dinners, big events attended by the entire town, including Ed Gein. So the Gein family, let's go way back and start with the patriarch of the Gein family. Let's start with George Gein, Ed's father.
Now, everybody knows that every good serial killer starts with a really strong father figure. Oh, somebody who guides their life and helps them.
A good, healthy family structure that he encourages education and, assimilation into society.
Oh, of course. Well, Ed, George's entire family died when George was only 3 years old. They all died in a flash flood.
They legitimately were just going into a town in a cart, and it literally just started raining, and they just watched the water come.
Yeah,
I just think that what it comes down to is that the Geins just wanted to go.
I think that's true. And when you say flash flood, everything is slow.
Yeah.
In Wisconsin. It's coming.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, look at that there, Betty
is-
Jean. It's funny how it's like, it's getting higher.
It's higher. It's
What you doing to getting higher like that?
Man,
Hey,
we've
Betty Jean, why don't you go check and see if it's actually getting higher or if I just might. I got water on my glasses from when I was sucking out of the ravine.
yeah.
Well, George grew up to be an utterly insignificant man, a drunk in self-pity, and then there was the love of Ed's life, his mother, Augusta.
I gotta say this, even just him describing Augusta, I kind of fell in love with her.
Augusta's amazing.
She's close to 330 pounds
Gotta
of pure muscle. Tits like the front of a battleship.
Oh, yeah.
A face like Ernest Borgnine if he was also half cigar.
No. They said that she wasn't pretty, but she was a handsome woman.
She was a handsome woman. And in Wisconsin, it's a utilitarian society. That's good. That's what you want in a lady. A good stock, a strong, a good wide stance.
You want a woman that if a cow breaks its leg, she can just strap it to her back.
Exactly.
And drag it through a field.
Exactly.
She was a stern disciplinarian, self-righteous and domineering, completely...
Marcus, I'm getting hard right now.
I know. Augusta.
self-assured in every one of her beliefs, and these be spread, she believed, and preached to every single person that she came into contact with. In other words, the classic evangelical Christian pain in the ass.
Yeah.
I mean, she was beyond judgmental, and she was one of those people that blamed all of the ills of the world on the harlots and the hussies that roamed the streets, tempting men into abominable sin or worse.
It's so weird because the women that are normally this type of judgmental are never like a size 3. You know what I mean? Like with like big bouffant blonde hair and like hourglass figure. They're pretty much always shaped like a refrigerator.
Yeah, it's tough to say. Sometimes you can get those skinny ones out there, but for the most part, they are... they look as if they've definitely given some swirlies to some girls they thought were whores.
Yeah, always that.
Could you imagine? Because that's the thing is other women being so terrified of Augusta if she thought you were a whore. If you were just, and you're literally just going to like an trying to get a job and you're wearing like a pantsuit and just like, you goddamn whore trampling around, just grabbing you by the ankles and snapping you like a towel.
That's what she does.
She believed that sex was a despicable act that should only be done to procreate, and even then it was not to be enjoyed. In fact, Ed said, if we were meant to have sex, Ed said that she told him, if we were meant to have sex, the Lord would have made it enjoyable.
I want to watch her having sex with poor George. Oh, poor George. Oh, so I made you
But how I imagine that she did it is that she would get him hard and then pull his dick back behind his balls and fuck him from behind into her own vagina.
Oh, don't you know? That's okay. Okay. Thank you, Augusta.
You just lay there and let me finish it myself.
You worthless piece of shit, George. You can't even get hard for me.
Thank you. Thank you.
You know, Wisconsin men are very, very nice. women. It's like, there's like 60%. At this point, it was probably even more like 70 to 30 or something. So they're so nice. And these women, they just do very, very mean-spirited things to these poor guys.
Oh, yeah. And the marriage was predictably horrific for every single person involved. George was constantly berated by Augusta, but you could also say that she might have some reason to berate him. He was almost an aggressively lazy drunk, and sometimes he would refuse to even speak for days on end.
He's been shell-shocked. He's so torn down. He's so beaten down. He's just like, he's completely resigned to his fate that he's going to die in an easy chair.
Yeah, but
the way they courted each other is also like straight up. She just chose him because he was tall.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what
She was obsessed with the fact that he was tall and had a strapping good, like, because he had sort of like what she called a regal stance, because he was tall and broad-chested, but he was never a good worker. Because basically when his family died, it set the tone. Everybody told him, like, you should have died with him.
Yeah. She chose him with, sitting in the corner of some smoky bar with chewing tobacco in her lips, spitting into a spittoon. She looked at him. She's like, yeah, that's the one. That's the one I'm taking home. And then he was just so thrilled a girl was talking to him, and then he had no idea that was going to be the worst situation of his life.
Oh, my God. And he was one hell of a drunk, although she was completely sober all the time. And in fact, when he came home drunk, she would start berating, you're just a drunk, George, you're just a drunk. And he'd start flailing at her with open hands, just hitting her again and again. She'd fall to the floor and just keep hurling the insults. And after each beating, that's
Augusta could take care of herself.
And they described it as flailing with open hands. So it was pretty much just a slap fight. And then after he finished with her, she would just get down on her knees and just pray for his death.
And I always found it's like, I understand we had rough Christmases too in my family. Like we were it was a very intense household, but I would say that it's just like not great for kids.
No, not ideal
right?
for
Am
kids.
I going out on a limb?
No, I think it's safe to say when George comes home drunk and has the slap fight with Augusta, that's not the best evening for a child's life.
And then she's got to pray for death. You got to pray for his death while Ed's just
Dear Lord
there
Jesus Christ. I want to hear that prayer so bad.
Well, nevertheless, in 1901, Augusta allowed George to implant his seed in her musty, unwelcoming hole.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I saw that you wrote that down there in the outline. Musty, unwelcoming hole.
I think it's a pretty accurate representation.
I don't know if
if you took off her underpants,
right,
and she had the sweetest, greatest vagina on the face of the planet, honestly. And it drove George insane.
It's possible. It's possible. Yep. That's what she's protecting all these years.
Yep. On January 7th, 2 days before my birthday, Augusta gave birth to Henry Gein, the oldest of the Gein boys. Yes. They both stayed single until the day they died, but
which is really creepy. Living with your parents until your early 40s.
No, I mean not for Plainfield. That's pretty standard, pretty typical.
I suppose so. 4 years later, Augusta decided she could try again because she wanted a girl, someone that was free from the sins of man. She allowed George into her bed once more, and poor Edward Theodore Gein was created. Yep, Eddie Teddy.
Sweet Eddie Teddy was born.
Eddie Teddy's created with drunken PBR-riddled sperm as Augusta stared blankly into George's eyes. Literally, he's personification of born into the world with hate.
And I also love this sentence from Deviant. And Ed would not be sinful. He would not be like every other man in this abominable world. Be pure. He would be good. But what he would eventually become would shock the world in ways we had never thought possible.
Actually, that's not from Deviant. Those are my words.
Wow, good work.
That is exciting, but he wouldn't be like everybody else. He wouldn't be like your normal, fat Wisconsin farmer. He was different.
He was different.
And we were talking about Bruce Jenner. Oh my God, the transitioning that Bruce is going through. And I love that. And if you're trans, we support you 100%. But no one was there for Ed.
No.
I want to wear human skin, he said, and everyone mocked him and made fun of him.
Well, we'll get this probably later more into in the second part of this series, but this is very appropriate that we're doing this episode during Bruce Jenner's coming out because, I mean, all Ed wanted to be was a lady. So what I think is that, again, if you're trans, yes, we support you entirely, but if just go buy a wig.
Yes. I mean, if you are trans, again, don't go Buffalo Bill with it.
No.
No.
Save
Ed literally had to. In a way.
In a way. You, however, have the option to save up and have the surgery, the gender reassignment surgery. It's 2015. You have that choice now. In 1950,
city, get out of Plainfield. If now, I'm going to say this right now. If you live in Plainfield, get the fuck out of Plainfield.
Or stick around. You never know when the economy is going to start coming back. Plainfield's a beautiful place.
Well, Ed worshipped his mother from the very beginning. He described her as pure goodness, and tears would well up in his eyes anytime he spoke of her.
I couldn't help but think of North Koreans when they speak of Kim Jong-un or or Un or Il.
Very close.
He worshipped her to that level, though.
Yeah.
This was the end-all, be-all. This was God to Ed Gein, which is very interesting.
Yes, she was his savior, but every single turn. His first memory was of a staircase when he was a toddler. He lost his balance at the top of the staircase, as toddlers do. And as he fell, he felt the crushing grip of his mother on his arm. She picked him up and just started screaming at him and shaking him. He knew he had done something horribly wrong, but just couldn't figure out what. All he knew was that his mother had saved him.
But that was George's fault. Augusta was like, "Where's Ed, George?" And George was like, "I put him on top of the staircase to play." That was all George's fault.
She's also got Henry Gein, who's just trying to crawl out of the window, and also she's got fucking George tied to a rope to her belt so he doesn't run out the door. I think legitimately everyone was trying to kill themselves.
I think so. I think there was definitely some self-conscious or some subconscious suicide going on.
I think so. So another incident is that when Eddie was 7, his mother...
This is just a sad story.
This is a super sad story. His mother charged him to walk just a block, only a block away to buy bread.
I will say blocks in Wisconsin are much longer than they are here in this city. A block is like just from this rock to that rock, but that could be a mile, 2 miles. There's no rules.
That is true. But somehow, during the walk from the house to the bakery, Ed managed to just lose all of the money that his mother had given him.
I was just walking down the street, and I saw this dog. And I was like, oh, that's a funny little dog over there. You know what you could do? You could turn them little leg bones into, I've seen what them Chinamen use for forks and spoons. You could just, where's my money? Where's my money?
Maybe he planted it. Maybe he thought he was going to make a money tree. Kids are fun.
So he came back empty-handed, sobbing and terrified. She looked down at him and said in a quiet, heartbroken, bitter voice,
"You dreadful child, only a mother